You've been checking all the boxes, haven't you? You're waking up early, you're putting in the hours, you've cut out the distractions. And yet, when you look at your bank account or your progress bar, it hasn't budged. It feels like you're screaming into a vacuum. You see people around you doing half the work and getting double the results. And you've started to ask yourself the most dangerous question a high achiever can ask. Is the universe broken, or am I? If you feel like you're failing, despite doing everything right, I need you to listen very closely. Because you aren't failing, you are currently navigating the law of the dark phase. This isn't some motivational fluff. It's a psychological and biological reality called success lag. Most people think progress is a linear 45-degree angle, but in reality, it's a flat line that suddenly spikes. Right now, you are on that flat line. You are in the buffer period where your effort has been logged, but the reality hasn't updated yet. You're like a computer trying to render a high-definition image. The processor is running at 100%, but the screen is still blank. This is the moment where 95% of people quit because they mistake the silence for absence. They think because they can't see the harvest, the seeds must be dead. But the dark phase is where the foundation is poured. If you walk away now, you aren't just quitting on a dream. You're quitting seconds before the system acknowledges your work. We need to rebrand how you look at karma or luck. In the US, we often think of karma as this mystical what goes around comes around punishment system. But I want you to look at it through the lens of delayed gratification logistics. Think about a massive cargo ship. When the captain decides to turn that ship 180, he throws the engines into full gear and turns the wheel. But for several minutes, that ship continues to plow straight ahead into the old direction. To an outside observer, it looks like the captain's actions had zero effect. But beneath the surface, the physics are already shifting. Your life is that ship. Your old life, the mindset and the energy you had 6 months ago is still carrying momentum. You've changed the wheel, you've fired the engines, but you are currently living in the momentum tail of your past self. This is why you feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere. You are currently fighting the ghost of who you used to be. The karma delay is simply the time it takes for your physical reality to catch up to your new frequency. It's not a punishment. It's a law of physics. If life gave you everything the second you worked for it, you'd be crushed by the weight of it because you wouldn't have the discipline to sustain it. The reason this phase feels so painful is that it's actually a stress test. Think of it as a mandatory software update for your character. If you're asking for $1 million or a top-tier relationship or a global platform, the universe has to ensure your internal infrastructure can handle the heat. Most people want the reward without the capacity. If you got the massive success you wanted today, while you were still frustrated and doubting yourself, that success would destroy you. It would amplify your insecurities and burn you out within a month. This dark phase is a skill-building season. It is designed to be boring. It is designed to be lonely. And it is designed to make you feel like you're failing, because that is the only environment where true resilience is forged. You aren't being denied. You are being prepared. You're in the gym, and the weights feel heavy, not because you're weak, but because you're finally lifting enough to actually grow. When you stop looking for the reward and start looking for the growth, the dark phase loses its power over you. You start to realize that the stagnation is actually a protection mechanism, keeping you in the waiting room until your character is strong enough to walk through the door and actually stay in the room. The growth, the reward paradox, is the most misunderstood phase of high performance because it feels like a total system failure. In the US, we are obsessed with overnight success stories, but we rarely talk about the negative 1 year, the period where you are doing more work than ever before, but seeing less ROI than you did when you were barely trying. This is the paradox. Your growth is currently vertical, while your rewards are horizontal. Think of it like a stress test for a new skyscraper. Before the building can go up 100 stories, the engineers have to dig deep into the dirt and pour tons of concrete into a dark hole where nobody can see it. To a passerby, it looks like a construction site that's been abandoned for months. There's no building, just a giant, ugly pit. But that pit is the only reason the tower won't collapse when the wind hits it at high altitudes. If you are in the dark phase right now, you are digging your foundation. The market, whether that's your career, your business, or your personal brand, is currently auditing your character. It's asking, if I give this person the influence they want, will they crumble? If I give them the money, will they stop working? This is your skill building season, and it's essentially a mandatory software update for your soul. In this phase, the infrastructure of your life is being rewired. You're learning how to manage frustration, how to work without applause, and how to maintain discipline when the dopamine hits aren't coming. This is the ultimate competitive advantage because most people are dopamine addicts. They only work when they see the numbers go up. The moment the numbers stall, they pivot to a new shiny object or a different hustle, and they reset their progress back to zero. By staying in the dark phase, you are outlasting the competition by default. You are developing a level of grit equity that cannot be bought. This is where you master the boring basics that the lucky people skipped. When the reward finally hits, and it will hit with the force of a tidal wave, you won't be a one-hit wonder. You will be someone with the structural integrity to hold on to that success for decades. But how do you know if you're actually in a dark phase or if you're just spinning your wheels in a dead-end job? There are specific transition markers, weird, counterintuitive signs that the shift is happening. One of the biggest signs is a system-wide friction. Suddenly, things that used to be easy feel irritating. Old friendships that were fine now feel draining. Your old hobbies feel hollow. This is often misdiagnosed as depression or burnout, but in reality, it's biological friction. Your current environment has become too small for the person you are becoming. It's like a crab trying to grow. It has to shed its old shell, and that period where it's shell-less is the most vulnerable, uncomfortable time of its life. If you feel a sudden calm before the storm, or if you feel like you're losing interest in the status quo, you aren't losing your mind. You're outgrowing your current reality. You are in the liminal space, the gap between the person you were and the person you're about to become. This friction is the evidence that the law of the dark phase is working. It's the smoke before the fire. Another sign that you're reaching the end of the delay is increased resistance. In video games, you encounter the most enemies right before you reach the boss level. Life works the same way. When you are about to have a massive breakthrough, the old world will throw everything it has at you to keep you in the old cycle. You might have a sudden financial emergency, a relationship conflict, or a wave of intense self-doubt. This isn't the universe telling you to stop. It's the universe asking, "Are you sure?" It's a final audit. If you can maintain your trajectory through this dark phase friction, you prove that you are no longer a slave to your circumstances. You prove that your vision is stronger than your environment. You're no longer just a person who wants success. You've become the person who is success, even before the physical world realizes it. The final transition you'll experience before the dark phase breaks is a sense of detached certainty. This is the psychological state where you stop obsessing over the when and how because you've internalized the who. You've done the work, you've survived the silence, and you've built the character. When you reach this point, the external world has no choice but to bend to your new reality. Think of it as the accumulation of potential energy. In physics, if you push a boulder up a hill, you're doing massive amounts of work with zero forward. Travel. You are struggling, sweating, and straining against gravity, and the boulder is just sitting there. But the moment you reach the crest of that hill, all that wasted effort turns into kinetic energy. The descent is fast, effortless, and unstoppable. You are currently at the final inch of the climb. The silence you hear isn't the sound of failure. It's the sound of the universe holding its breath before the momentum shifts in your favor. To navigate this last stretch, you need a single, actionable mental shift. Stop looking for results and start looking for evidence of alignment. If you handled a setback today without spiraling into a breakdown, that is a result. If you showed up to work when you felt like quitting, that is a result. These are the internal victories that prove your infrastructure is ready. In the US market, the winners aren't the ones with the best ideas. They are the ones with the highest boredom threshold. They are the ones who can stay in the dark phase the longest without losing their mind. By watching this, you've already outlasted the majority who are still looking for a shortcut or a magic pill. You now understand the mechanics of the lag. You know that the karma cycle isn't a judge. It's a ledger, and your deposits have been recorded with interest out. So, the next time that voice in your head whispers that you're failing, I want you to talk back to it. Tell it that you aren't failing, you're rendering. You are in the middle of a massive, life-altering turn, and the momentum of your past is simply fading away to make room for your future. Trust the unseen growth happening beneath the surface. Trust the foundation you've poured in the dark. The light is coming, and when it hits, everyone will call you an overnight success because they weren't there to see the work you did in the shadows. But you'll know. You'll know that you didn't just get lucky. You survived the dark phase, and you earned every bit of the breakthrough that is about to explode into your life. Keep pushing. The ship has already turned.